Hey y'all, it's Tiffany here from Carvalho Crochets. OMG Pant tutorial is in full effect. Make sure you grab your yarn and your hook and let's get started on making these dope ass pants.
Burn him now.
Before we start this tutorial, I really have to put a disclaimer. The first is that this video tutorial is for advanced beginners and higher. So if you're intermediate, if you're advanced, you're gonna love this. You'll be able to make this, no worries. If you are a beginner, like first, second video, you don't know how to do a granny square, you don't understand double crochet, this is not the video for you. I will link a video for you below. Don't even stay here because you need to know how to do it. You need to understand the mechanics of a granny square and you also need to understand how to double crochet. So don't even stay here. Buki is downstairs, is down there. Click the link, learn that first, and then come back because I got you after you understand those two things. So that's one. Two is, this tutorial is, you're gonna need two yarns. You're going to need your solid color yarn. So here's the solid color yarn that I used. And then here is and then you'll need a variegated yarn. So you'll need something that has multiple, that's like a multicolor. You'll need both of those. So go grab those. And then you need to measure yourself. If you're making them for yourself, you need to measure the hips, you need to measure the thigh, and you need to measure the inseam. I'll post a picture to show you what that looks like. Pause here to collect your measurements. And then third, I'm really making this tutorial for me. My client ordered these OMGee pants and she sent me the picture from the trap designer and I was just like, I know how to make these. I can figure this out. And so I did figure it out for the first pair, but now I'm making the second pair and I don't really know what I did. So we're making this YouTube tutorial so that I can remember, I can always go back to this video because I know once she wears these pants and posts it and everyone sees them, I'm gonna get a lot of orders for these. So we're making the tutorial now so that, we can always go back to it. And I'm sharing it with you guys because I really need 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year. So if you see this and you haven't subscribed, click that button, babe. We're gonna get into this tutorial. Oh, last thing, and this is the last disclaimer, and I pinky promise this is the last one. I will respond to you. If you have a question, if you're confused, if you need some help, comment below. I will respond. If you look at my other videos, it's within 2 hours to 48 hours. I do not leave a comment unresponded to. So please, please, please know that I will help you if you need help. You can DM me on Instagram. You can hit me up on TikTok. Whatever you need, you can even send me an email from my website. I will respond and help you complete this if you're committed to get this done. But you have to know how to double crochet and you have to understand the mechanics of a granny square. Okay, let's jump into the tutorial. Hello everyone, this is Tiffany from Carvalho Crochets and we are going to get started on my OMGee Pants tutorial. I am not sure how many parts this video will be, but we're going to get started. You need a pair of scissors, a 6mm hook. You can go smaller if you wish or to match your yarn. And then I am using I Love This yarn in the color Sugar Plum Stripe. We will also be using a sage green a little bit later. And let's just get it out of the way. I am in between nail appointments, so by the time this video is done and we've made a pair of pants, my nails will not look like this. But we're not sacrificing our art for presentation. We're gonna keep on going. All right, we are making 2 pieces for our pants today, and you will just watch this tutorial again to make the second one. So we're working on the back panel and we're working on the panel that will go on the thighs. Because my OMG pants are a mixture of a multicolor or a variegated yarn and a solid yarn, I recommend that you use the variegated for the front and the back, and that you use variegated for the leg panel as well that we're about to make. Let's jump in. Just to give you a glimpse of what we're going to start with, which is the butt panel. You are going to start in your center, and then you're working very similar in this like direction, going up, down, and around, up, down, up, across, and down. And then you're going to keep going out until you have the full size. Now, because you are making two pieces, I took the measurements of my hips, well, not of my hips, of my client's hips, and she is a 40. She has 40, her dimensions are 40 inches. I am making this 18 inches because we want to be able to give her an opportunity for stretch, and we will add on about half an inch on each side when we connect these two squares. So again, you're going to take your hip measurements and divide it by 2, and that will be the width of your of each panel. Okay, minus an inch or 2. You don't need to make it specific because these are a close fitted pants. Let's get started on this tutorial. All right, so first we're either going to make a magic ring or a chain 4 and slip stitch into the first stitch. I like to make a magic ring, and I'll show you how to do it. So go across your fingers, go around your fingers, and then make a cross. Insert your hook, pull up a loop, and boom, you have a magic ring. Chain 3, place 1 double crochet inside your magic ring. It's because I can't see what I'm doing. Okay, there we go. Chain 2, place a granny square cluster, so that's 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3. Chain 2, and then place 2, 1, 2 double crochets into your ring. When you pull up a loop, you will have this little pretty square. Now you're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, turn your work, place a granny square cluster, 3 double crochets into the chain 2 space from the previous row, like that. Chain 2, place 3 more double crochets into this corner, 1, 2, 3. Okay, go to the next chain 2 space and place 1 cluster, chain 2, another cluster. Ooh, dropping stuff. Just give myself a little bit more yarn. Okay, so we're now adding 1 more double crochet, and then in the top of the chain 3, you're going to place 1 double crochet. Here is the second round. Okay, keep pulling that center and make it nice and tight. All right, round 3, chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Place 1 double crochet in between your cluster and that 1 double crochet. So one here. And then in the corner, you're going to do one granny square cluster, chain two, one granny square cluster, all in this chain two space. So 1, 2, 3, chain two, 3 more, 1, 2, 3. In this next space between our two granny square clusters is going to be a granny square cluster. So 1, 2, 3. Great. Next corner, granny square cluster, chain two, granny square cluster. Okay. Place one double crochet into the space and place one double crochet in the top of the chain three space. In the third chain, in the top of the third chain, 1, chain 3. All right, we're done round 3. Now we're going to keep going. I'll keep explaining it, but you'll keep going. Once we get the hang of the system, then I'll pause the video and give you an opportunity to continue until you get your length desired. So because now we just did 2 double crochets at the end, we're going to place 3 double crochets or a granny square cluster into this space. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. 2 a granny square cluster, chain 2, granny square cluster in this space. 1, 2, 3. Chain 2. 1, 2, 3. Scissors is making a bunch of noise. Give me some more yarn. I love the way this color is coming out. It's so pretty. Okay. Here we go. Now in between each of our granny square clusters is just going to be one granny square cluster. So 1, 2, 3. Another 1, 2, 3. And then a corner, one granny square cluster, chain 2, one granny square cluster. 1, 2, 3. Chain 2, 1, 2, 3. Great. Now we're getting close to the end, so we're going to put a granny square cluster here. 1, 2, 3. And then in the top of our chain 3, we're going to put 1 double crochet. Let me explain this corner for you, and then chain 3 to get to the next row. Let me explain this corner to you so you always know what to do. We start with 2 double crochets. Can you see that? 2 double crochets. Your next row, you're only going to have 1. The row after that, you'll have 2. The row after that, you'll have 1. This row, we're going to have 2. So we chain 3, and then we're going to place 1 in between our double crochet and our granny square cluster. So you can always know what you're about to do based on what you did in the previous row. So to continue, we chain 3. In this space, we're doing a double crochet. Okay, I'm still recording. Okay, so now we have 2 double crochets in our corner. We have a chain 3 and a double crochet. In this space, we're going to place 1 granny square cluster. 1, 2, 3. Excuse me. And then in our corner, granny square cluster, like such. Chain 2. I feel like I got really close. Let me try to get a little bit further away for you guys. There we go. And then 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now and again, in between each granny square cluster, we're going to put a granny square cluster in each space. 1, 2, 3. Again, 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. Here we go. Back to the corner. 1, 2, 3. Chain 2. 3 more. 1, 2, 3. Then in our spaces, just a granny square cluster. On the end, we do 1 double crochet and another in the top of the chain 3. Sometimes you put it in the chain 2 and it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you put it in the chain 3 or the chain 2, just as long as it's over there. All right, so we have our square. We're going to continue on around, back around, back around, back around until we get a full width of whatever is half of your hip dimension. Half of your hip dimension, but -2. So my client is 40 inches in her hip measurements. I'm doing 18, so that's 36 inches for the front and the back panel, because I'm going to add about an inch or 2 on the sides when I connect them, but I'll show you that later. Just go straight across, keep building this up until you get to your desired length. All right, you can pause the video here, or you can fasten off and I'll show you how to do the leg panel, which is the next tutorial for this part 1 video. So this is actually the back piece is actually 18 inches and the front piece will be 18 inches, and that will equal 38, which is more than enough because the yarn stretches and we want it to be a very nice slim fit for our customer. So yes, continue on until you make your panel the size. Now we're moving on to the thigh panel. If you can see in the picture on the side, there is a panel that wraps around the person's leg in this solid color, and then it continues in this multicolor and this variegated color, and then it continues on in a solid color. We are just making the thigh square first, and this is a rectangle, so we're going to make this rectangle now. All right, let's get started. So you're going to make a slip knot and you are going to chain 20. Give me 1 second to make sure this is right. Okay, so you're going to make a slip knot and you're going to chain 20. Chain 20, skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, single crochet into the 4th stitch. You are going to go into this chain space later, but now you're going to single crochet down all the way to the end of this row. Go all the way down to the end. I single crochet so slow. Everything else I can do really fast. Single crochet is like grandma. Okay, single crochet into the last stitch, chain 3, and then and turn your work. In this chain single crochet space, you're going to make 2 double crochets, just like that. Okay, you're going to skip 2 and make 2 double crochets in the third stitch, or 3 double crochets in the third stitch. 2, 3. Skip 2 in the third stitch, put 3 double crochets or your granny square cluster. 3, 1, 2, 3. Skip 2, 1, 2 in the third stitch, 3 granny square cluster. 1, 2, 3. Oh, my neck. I hope you didn't hear that. Okay. Skip 2, 3 granny square cluster, 1 granny square cluster, 3 double crochets. 2, fantastic. Skip 2 in the third one. Skip 1, 2 in the third one. 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. All right, now we are at our corner. Inside this chain space, you're going to make 3 granny square clusters with a chain 2 in between each. So 1 granny square cluster, so 3 double crochets inside of this space. So 1, 2, 3. Ouch. These nails are so old. Chain 2, 3 more double crochets in this space. 1, 2, 3. Chain 2, 3 more or 1 more granny square cluster in the same space. 1, 2, 3. So now you have a corner. All right, we're going to skip 2, 1, 2, and put 3 double crochets into the third stitch. It will not match the other side. It does not have to. It does not have to. It actually looks better, in my opinion, when it doesn't. 1, 2, 1, 2, and the third one. 1, 2, 3. Skip 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and the third one. 1, 2, 3. Skip 2, 1, 2, and the third one. 3. 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. All right, we're coming up to the end. 1, 2, put 3 in this second to last chain space. 1, 2, 3. All right, now in the space where you made your first cluster, you're going to do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Chain 2 and do 3 more in that same space. I love crocheting over this piece, this tail, it's basically like weaving in your ends. So 1, 2, 3. And now you have a corner. Once you chain 2 and slip stitch into the top of your chain 3. First row is done. It does look a little wavy, little curve, and that's okay. It will even itself out as you continue. So chain 3 and turn your work. Inside of this chain 2 space, you're going to do a double crochet two more double crochets, chain 2, and then 3 double crochets into this same space. So I did a chain 3, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, double crochet, double crochet. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, replacing the chain with a double crochet. So 1, a cluster, 2, 3. That's 1 granny square cluster, chain 2, 1, 2, 3. We have our corner. Now in each space, which this is a space, it looks a little weird, but it's a space, make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 granny square clusters going down to the other side. So 1, 2, 3, that's 1. Next row, next space, 1, 2, 3, that's 2. Next space, 1, 2, 3, that's 3. Next space, 1, 2, 3. Next space, that's 4. 1, 2, 3. That's 5. Next space, 1, 2, 3. Now we're at our corner, so we're going to do a granny square cluster, chain 2, and another granny square cluster in the same space. Okay, next round. Repeat, granny square cluster, chain 2, there you go. And then you're going to, in between each cluster, place a granny square cluster and then slip stitch in the top of the chain. I love how the yarn just changes colors and you kind of like have no control over it. I love the way that that looks because the yarn just, it does what it's supposed to do every single time. Okay, slip stitch into the top, chain 3, turn your work, and continue. So you're going to continue this with each corner giving you a cluster, chain 2 cluster in each corner, slip stitch into the top of the chain 3, continue on until you have your desired width and height. Now to explain this in a way that makes sense, my clients, the circumference of their thigh is 18 inches all the way around. So this would be her thigh. Okay. Now I'm not using that. I don't want to get to 18 with just this color because again, we are going to use our second color later. We just need to make a panel that is, it doesn't matter how wide it is. We just needed something that is going to be able to be big enough to actually be seen in the front or the back. So this is 6.5. It's about 7 inches. It's about 7 inches wide and it's about 12 inches long. I'm going to stop here because I am going to add the sage green color to make it a full 18. I don't even think I went 18 inches. I think I made it 16 inches. So that means if it's 7 inches down, 7 minus 16 is 11. But we're doing 1 inch less. So 7 minus 16, 7 minus 15 is 8. So we'll do 4 inches on this side and 4 inches on this side of the sage color. But we're not going to do that now because I want to make both of my panels the same size. So when we come back with part 2, we will have these pieces done and we'll start working on the thigh. Okay? Take some time. Thank you guys for watching, and we will have part 2 coming really soon. Thank you. Bye. All right, everyone, that's part 1. Part 2 will be posted on July 1st. So if it's after July 1st, go to my page, subscribe, and watch part 2. Let's keep going for the OMGeee Pants. And